Ariella's coming home for break, as a matter of fact. I think she's bringing a friend with her. You're supposed to be Sevilla, hi. And this is your room, Sevilla. I freshened it up just this morning.
It's really great, but is it okay if I sleep in Ariella's room?
Well, she's a little older than I expected.
I'm 24.
I guess you took some time off after high school?
I never went to high school.
They disappeared into Ariel's room pretty much right away.
We've had some pretty exciting experiences at school.
Really? What kind of things are you missing?
Just small things. We just have really great chemistry.
Yeah, but I think she really likes this girl. I just haven't really had a chance to talk to her.
Dad today, he just texted me.
Hey, oh my God, it's great to see you. How are you?
I forgot it's today, too.
Yeah, is it okay if Sevilla stays with you while I'm gone?
Yeah, you're more fun than I thought you were.
Did I not seem fun at first?
No. I thought you were one of those uptight ones.
Maybe I am.
You just need to relax. Let yourself go once in a while.
Maybe you could give me a few lessons.
Mom.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel.
The opening scene of A Mother's Secret introduces viewers to a quiet domestic environment defined less by action than by emotional undercurrents that slowly begin to surface through conversation, observation, and subtle shifts in attention between the characters. The recently divorced mother, played by Elexis, exists within a life that has become quieter and more reflective following her daughter Ariel's departure for college. And the early moments of the scene emphasize how deeply she has organized her identity around care, routine, and responsibility. Her phone conversation about finishing a jewelry order for a wedding operates as more than background exposition. It illustrates the emotional labor that women often perform in ways that remain largely invisible. She crafts something beautiful meant to celebrate the love and commitment of others, while her own life sits in a more ambiguous space defined by transition and introspection. This moment establishes a tone of quiet loneliness that is not melodramatic but familiar, particularly for women who have spent years structuring their identities around caregiving roles and who suddenly find themselves facing an unfamiliar emotional landscape once those roles shift. Ariel's return home for winter break therefore represents not only a family reunion, but also the reintroduction of movement, energy, and possibility into a home that has become still. The arrival of Ariel and her friend Sevilla creates an immediate shift in atmosphere. The mother greets them warmly, embodying the gracious host and attentive parent. Yet the film carefully frames the introduction in a way that invites viewers to notice the subtle dynamics that begin unfolding beneath the surface. Sevilla's request not to sleep alone in the guest room may appear simple on its face, yet it quietly signals a personality comfortable with closeness and emotional proximity. Ariel, characterized earlier as shy and hesitant, becomes visibly more animated in Sevilla's presence, suggesting that this friendship may represent a significant emotional development for her. For the mother, observing this bond introduces a mixture of pride, curiosity, and something more difficult to articulate. Parents often experience a complex emotional recalibration when witnessing their children form intense connections outside the family unit. Within queer readings of stories like this one, such moments can also echo the complicated process through which women begin recognizing forms of intimacy between women that exist outside the frameworks they have been taught to expect or understand. The mother's decision to offer practical solutions for the sleeping arrangement reflects her instinct to maintain order and propriety. Yet the film quietly invites the audience to notice the small gestures and glances that complicate the seemingly ordinary situation. Morning brings a quieter interaction between the mother and Sevilla, and it is here that the emotional architecture of the scene becomes clearer. Sevilla singing outside introduces her as a character with a certain openness to expression, someone whose presence feels both grounded and enigmatic. The mother's compliment about the singing voice may seem casual, yet it functions as an early moment of recognition between two women who are beginning to see each other beyond their formal roles. Importantly, the conversation that follows does not rely on dramatic revelations, but on the gradual sharing of personal histories. Sevilla reveals that she is older than the typical freshman, and that her life has followed an unconventional path shaped by frequent moves and self-directed learning. Her description of traveling through Europe and entering university through intellectual achievement positions her as someone who exists slightly outside conventional social timelines. For the mother, who has lived a life defined by structure and responsibility, Sevilla's narrative carries both intrigue and admiration. Within queer interpretive frameworks, such exchanges often function as moments where women quietly reassess the boundaries of their own identities. The conversation is not framed as romantic or sensational, but rather as a meeting of two individuals who recognize something meaningful in each other's life experiences. Ariel's presence in the subsequent bedroom conversation introduces yet another layer to the dynamic. The discussion between the two young women about social experiences at school illustrates how different personalities navigate vulnerability and self-discovery. Ariel's shyness contrasts with Sevilla's willingness to explore unfamiliar social situations, and their dialogue reflects a common tension within many young adults' experiences, the desire to expand one's understanding of the world while simultaneously fearing exposure or rejection. Sevilla's encouragement that Ariel might be missing out on opportunities is not delivered with judgment, but with a tone suggesting curiosity about what Ariel might discover if she allowed herself to step beyond her comfort zone. This dynamic resonates strongly with themes that appear frequently in narratives centered on queer women's emotional development. Feelings of admiration, fascination, and aspirational identification can blur into deeper emotional connections that are difficult to categorize within traditional language. What one woman initially perceives as simple friendship may gradually reveal itself as something more complex, particularly within environments where explicit discussions of identity remain limited or socially complicated. The scene also explores the broader cultural tension surrounding intimacy between women. Historically, society has struggled to interpret close relationships between women, without either diminishing their significance or sensationalizing them. Friendships between women are often encouraged so long as they remain legible as platonic and non-threatening. Yet when emotional intensity deepens, observers frequently become uneasy, unsure how to categorize what they are witnessing. The film subtly acknowledges this tension by focusing less on dramatic declarations and more on the internal experiences of the characters as they observe and respond to one another. For the mother, watching Ariel and Sevilla interact introduces an unfamiliar emotional terrain. She is accustomed to occupying the role of caretaker, someone who facilitates other people's growth while setting aside her own evolving interior life. Witnessing the vitality of the younger women forces her to confront aspects of herself that have been dormant or unexamined. This process is not framed as scandalous but as profoundly human. Many women reach moments in adulthood when they begin questioning the identities they have inherited from social expectations. Divorce, aging, and shifts in family structure can open space for new forms of self-reflection, and the film positions this character precisely within such a moment. The symbolic elements of the scene reinforce this theme of transition. The house, once centered on family routines, now functions as a meeting point for multiple stages of life. Ariel represents youth and uncertainty, Sevilla embodies independence shaped by unconventional experience, and the mother stands at a crossroads between past responsibilities and emerging self-awareness. Their interactions illustrate how relationships between women can serve as catalysts for personal transformation. Sometimes these transformations occur through mentorship or admiration, while in other cases they arise through the simple act of witnessing someone else living with a kind of freedom that challenges one's own assumptions. For queer audiences, this dynamic can feel particularly resonant because many LGBTQ+ individuals first encounter possibilities for self-understanding through observing other women whose lives suggest alternative paths. The film's restrained tone is essential to its impact. Rather than presenting the developing connections as shocking or forbidden, it treats them with quiet seriousness. This approach challenges cultural habits that reduce women's relationships to spectacle. By emphasizing conversation, shared space, and emotional curiosity, the narrative invites viewers to consider how intimacy often grows through small moments of recognition rather than dramatic events. The mother's gradual awareness of her own feelings is portrayed not as a sudden revelation, but as a subtle internal shift shaped by observation and empathy. Such portrayals reflect real experiences for many women who discover aspects of their identity later in life. Society frequently assumes that personal development follows a predictable timeline, yet human emotional lives rarely conform to those expectations. Moments of recognition can arrive unexpectedly when individuals encounter someone who reflects a possibility they had not previously considered. The film also speaks to the ways women are conditioned to manage their emotions in ways that maintain social harmony. Throughout the scene, the mother remains attentive, polite, and supportive, even when her curiosity about Sevilla's life becomes more personal. This behavior mirrors a broader pattern in which women are encouraged to prioritize others' comfort over their own emotional exploration. The tension between self-restraint and self-discovery becomes one of the central thematic threads emerging from the scene. By depicting this tension with nuance rather than melodrama, the film acknowledges the complexity of women's interior lives. Longing, admiration, curiosity, and uncertainty coexist without immediately resolving into clear categories. This ambiguity allows viewers to engage with the story in ways that reflect their own experiences. For lesbian and queer women in particular, the scene may evoke memories of early moments when feelings for another woman appeared first as admiration or fascination, before gradually revealing deeper significance. The film treats such moments with respect, recognizing them as meaningful stages in the process of understanding oneself. Ultimately, this opening scene establishes a narrative foundation centered on recognition. Each woman begins to see something in the others that reflects possibilities within herself. Ariel glimpses confidence through Sevilla's stories of exploration. The mother observes independence and intellectual curiosity that challenge the boundaries she has accepted for her own life. Sevilla, in turn, appears attentive to the emotional environment she has entered, recognizing both the warmth and the unspoken tensions within the household. Their interactions demonstrate how women's relationships can function as mirrors through which individuals reconsider their identities and desires. By grounding the story in emotional observation rather than sensational plot devices, the film contributes to a broader cultural conversation about visibility and authenticity. Women loving women, whether through friendship, mentorship, or romantic possibility, is presented not as spectacle but as part of the ordinary complexity of human life. This approach allows the narrative to highlight the quiet resilience required for individuals to acknowledge feelings that society has historically minimized or misunderstood. In doing so, the film invites audiences to reflect on the importance of creating spaces where women's emotional truths can be explored with honesty and dignity, reminding viewers that the journey towards self-recognition often begins with something as simple as noticing another person and feeling, perhaps for the first time, that a previously unspoken part of oneself has been gently called into awareness.